Hello, and once again, thank you for joining us at TechaMinute. My name is KLamont, and we're joined with my host, Agnes Princeell, and we are excited about today's episode. We had a couple of ideas that were kind of floating around, particularly in my mind, when I began to think about what I wanted to teach or what was important to relay. And I was really thinking about AI news, and I was thinking about an entry point for people to come into and start. Like, where do I start? And I just had to go back to the basics and really think about how I started, how I learned. And it all begins when it comes to AI with the prompt. Now, if we would have had a conversation um, last year about where to start in AI, I would say, hey, grab you a quick course on prompt engineering or a quick prompting book or video or group of videos and almost become a prompt engineer. But technology has excelled so fast that prompt engineering as a role is somewhat obsolete.
What you talking about? What you talking about? What you talking about? What you talking about, Willis?
There are some, I'm sure, that would argue with me. But my thing that I want to relay in this episode is it's garbage in, garbage out. You really have to be able to understand how to talk to the AI.
Can a robot write a symphony? Can a robot turn a canvas into a beautiful masterpiece? Can you?
And so that's what we're going to talk about on this episode. Where do I start? And it all starts with prompt engineering. It all starts with, or prompting rather. Prompt engineering is the role and prompting is the activity. So, okay, Kevin, what is a prompt? Well, I'm going to throw it over to Agnes, and I'm going to ask Agnes, when it comes to prompting, what do you think about? What is it that you think about when you're prompting it? And I'll give my workflow for prompting, and maybe we can see how successful we can get with that.
Yeah, I think prompting really gives the GPTs context, right? Context, and it returns you specialized or customized information that you are requesting. And so this context needs a framework because you need to narrow it down. You need to scale. You don't want it to go all over the large language model and just pull up anything it has. It's a machine, so you need to give it context. And I think just like language with human beings, you need to speak to people in the way that they will understand you. You're just not communicating just to just speak and say words. You need to talk to somebody in the way that they want to be spoken to. And the same thing with the chat GPTs and all the GPTs, you need to give them context. So that's the
Absolutely.
framework that you use to prompt.
Absolutely. 1000%. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. When I think of prompt engineering, I kind of describe it like the skill of effectively communicating with AI systems, whether it's an AI tool, whether it's a LLM. But if you understand, just think about it. You don't go to McDonald's and have trouble telling them what you want.
I want everything on the dollar menu and a burger with jalapenos. Let me get a snap wrap for my backpack, better not tax that dust sauce, no after. Taking everything to go, so pack that in a black bag, high res eating all the flapjacks.
We have trained ourselves effectively to communicate with humans and to communicate with screens to place our orders, etc. And so likewise, in order to reap the benefits of AI systems and AI tools, you have to understand how to effectively communicate. And that involves crafting precise instructions and providing context to the AI to ensure, just like you said, that you get the best possible output. And so if I can demonstrate. I always seem to feel like I can demonstrate much better than I can explain. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to go over to Chat GPT, and I'm going to give um, some of my workflow when I begin to prompt. So first of all, you have to define the role that the AI tool is going to play. What do you mean when you say that? Well, the key concept here is that explicitly defining the role that you want an AI to adopt, it creates a framework that shapes how it processes information and generates responses by specifying in a role that you establish. A perspective lens through which the AI should interrupt your request, or domain specific knowledge that it should prioritize, or a communication style that's appropriate to that role. So I've got two illustrative examples I'd like to walk us through. So let's think about technical writing versus simplification. So first, the first example that I want to give is, let's do something like this. Simple prompt, write about how DNS works. Let me blow my screen up just a tad bit for people like me
That's
that
good.
can't
Let's
see.
see. Yeah.
Right? So write about how DNS works is a simple prompt. That's what I want it to give me. Right? And so it's not that you can't get output, right? You can get output. DNS or DNS name, step by step, what happens when you type a website into your browser, and it breaks it down, gives you key components of DNS, bonus why it matters, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, let's take a look at it if we give it a more specific prompt, such as this. Now I'm going to be a lot more specific. I want it to act as a technology educator, creating content for non-technical small business owners. Explain DNS in simple terms, focusing on why it matters for their website reliability and how problems with it might affect their business. So when I put that prompt in, I have given it a role. And so now I'm going to get a more tailored and more specific output that's going to help me, because I'm going to need, if I'm trying to do this and explain to business owners, if that's the benefit that I want, the first prompt, it'll tell me about DNS, but it won't tailor it for my specific use case. So now, what is DNS? Why should small business owners care? Breaks it down and it gives them examples. Why DNS matters to your business. Without DNS, your website can't be found. Slow or unreliable DNS means lost customers. Email and see, the first one, this is not step by step. It's going to tell me about DNS, but it doesn't help me with my business. And so whatever you're trying to do, when you give it a role, such as act as a technology educator, creating content for non-technical small business owners, it's very specific. Let's try another use case. Let's try a creative writing direction. So we'll go get us a new chat, and we'll tell it to write a story about overcoming challenges. Because I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write a children's book, and I want to teach kids how to overcome challenges.
Actually, I'm not.
Write a story about overcoming challenges. Well, it's going to do just that. It's going to write the bridge that wasn't there. In a quiet town nestled between two wide rivers, there lived a boy named Malik. He was 10 years old. So it gives me a story. And it even gives me a moral. That's a good output.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
But if I want something a little bit more specific,
Unique and specific.
right? I want
Yeah.
to give it a role, because I already told you I want to write a children's book, I need to go and give it more details. The more details I give it, the more details and more instruction I'm going to get out of it. And that's what's going to save me time. Now I'm going to ask, instead of our simple write a story about overcoming challenges, I've gotten specific. Act as an experienced children's book author, creating an age appropriate story for 8 to 10-year-olds about overcoming academic challenges. Use engaging characters, incorporate gentle humor, and ensure the narrative concludes with practical takeaways about perseverance and asking for help.
That's really good context, Kevin, and really
Thank
specific.
you. And so now we've got Milo and the monster test. Chapter 1, the dreaded test. Milo Mars was a perfectly average 10-year-old. He liked peanut butter sandwiches, hated broccoli, and was absolutely certain his dog Bartley could talk, but only if he wanted to. This is a whole lot closer, a whole
Yeah.
lot closer
And it has
to what we
emotions
want.
too. Yeah.
And so, number one, when it comes to using the AI tools and the AI systems, the number one thing that we want to do is to ensure that we define the role. And then once we've defined the role, then we move into another piece, and that is what's called providing the data. It's very important that we provide the data and actual examples of what we want it to output. The key concept here is that providing examples of desired outputs gives the AI system concrete patterns to follow. It demonstrates a specific style, format, and depth that you're seeking. It establishes quality benchmarks for the AI to check itself before it produces and shows you the output. And it shows rather than tells what good looks like. And then finally, it reduces ambiguity and improves consistency. By showing examples of successful outputs, you create clear templates that guide the AI towards producing content that matches your expectations. So let me give you two more illustrative examples. Let's use a blog post. So let's go back over to ChatGPT, and I'm going to give it this prompt. Write a tech blog post about the impact of AI on coding jobs. Yeah, let's take a look at that. That ought to be a good one. So I'm going to paste that over here on coding jobs. Ew, I should have put coding S on that, but AI is smart enough. Title is AI eating coding jobs or evolving them? Nice. Okay. A few years ago, learn to code was a golden ticket. Now some coders are asking, will AI take my job? The answer isn't simple, but it's far from hopeless. All right. So it gives you a current landscape. So not a bad job. Not a bad job at all. The roles at risk. It gives you good stuff. So it's not that you can't, again, get output from the AI tools. But what if we did something like this? So I have created an example. I'm going to paste my example in, and then I'm going to go up and paste in my prompt.
Man, this is a long hallway.
3 hours later.
Can you move it along? I'm all out of time cards.
Right. So I went back to the original post. I'm sorry, the original prompt. Write a tech blog post about the impact of AI on coding jobs. Follow the example below. And so down here, I gave it an example. How edge computing is revolutionizing industrial IoT. So this is from something that I did previously, and it was a template that I was using. Using the same template, I've given it more details. Talks about the opening. Talks about the main 3 to 4 sections. Gives it the voice that I wanted to use.
Right.
And then it talks about the conclusion. So now let's take a look at what type of prompt we get with the instructions and the example.
Example. Mm-hmm.
How AI is reshaping the future of coding jobs. In a buzzing co-working space in Austin, a developer just hit run on a block of code written almost entirely by AI. No, it's not science fiction. It's a new reality of software development. And so this goes in and it is going to give a more detailed, more structured prompt. As you notice, you got title headings, you got subheadings, you got bulleted lists, you got predictions of next year, and you got final thoughts. And then
That's
it's
so
going to
good.
give you a graphic to accompany your blog post. So do you see the potential in, if I'm a blogger and I have an idea that I want, and I want to maintain my consistent style, then rather than just going in and asking it the simple prompt, what I'm doing is I'm adding to this. Now, I'm going to take this, I'm going to copy this, I'm going to go back, start a new chat, but now I'm going to go in and add the role. Now I have given it a role and I have been specific. So you are an expert and world-renowned blogger in the technology industry with a specialty in predicting how AI will impact the workforce. So I have already created a role that I know that I'm going to get expert information in the niche or genre that I'm trying to write in. And then I'm going to tell it, you are adept at using applicable sources and have a humorous tone, which invites engagement. So I want to add a little bit of humor and I want it to be written in such a way that it engages my users.
Mm-hmm.
Now I ask it and give it the details. Write a tech blog post about the impact of AI on coding jobs. Follow the example below. With those two and that workflow, now I'm closer to where I want, because the blog that I want to put out is AI is not necessarily going to take your job, but if you learn how to leverage it, now look at the title. Will
I love
AI
the
steal your
title.
coding job
I'll
or
just be
just
your
become
coworker.
your coworker?
I love the title.
And so if I'm a blogger and I'm using this prompting template, if you will, or this prompting workflow, it will elevate how I do things. It will elevate how successful I am in accomplishing everything that I'm trying to accomplish. And so that's what I wanted to stop by, take a minute or two, and give you some real life demonstrations. These are some of the things that we're going to be presenting in our shows and in our episodes. We want to give you real use cases. We want to give you real examples of how you can leverage up. I'm going to shoot it over to Agnes. She's got some exciting things that she wants to share with us from the Coach's Corner. So Agnes, take it away.
Thank you, Kevin. And since we're starting at basics and trying to level up, today I want to talk about just your career, starting your career and having a career roadmap. Everybody needs one. You need to pause for a minute and take inventory of your skill set, your plan, where you want to go, where you want to be. You owe that to yourself to create this self awareness about your career. And the way to start that is to create a value map. And what am I talking about? You create a list of your top 4 life values and your top 4 career values, and sync that up and see where it matches. And then once you have your value map, you need to set goals in terms of short-term and long-term goals. So, for example, a short-term goal could be if you are in IT and you've been in IT for a couple of years and you're a manager, you might want to move into the VP level. You want to be a manager of customer service, VP of customer service. That's a short-term goal. A long-term goal could be a director. And your short-term goals could be you can set it for 2 to 5 years, and your long-term goal could be from anywhere from 5 to 10 years. In setting your goals, you need to figure out how you're going to accomplish those goals. So you want to find a mentor and a sponsor, and there's a difference. A mentor is somebody who can give you daily feedback on how you're doing and kind of help you navigate the culture. A sponsor is somebody who is already at the executive level and can speak for you when you're not in the room. And it's very important for you to create a schedule to meet with your mentors and sponsor frequently to kind of understand what's going on, to kind of explain what you're doing in your life to kind of get to where you want to go. So that's goal setting. Your goal setting should be smart. It should be something that is attainable. It should resonate with you. It should be relatable. It should be specific, and it should be measurable and time bound. We talked about this all the time. At the corporate level, you have to set smart goals because you want to make sure that you're achieving your goals. So once you set your goal, this is like you already have your value map. You have your goal set. Now you have to get into specifics, like what exactly what companies out there are like having things or activities that will support my goal. And this you can ask ChatGPT. You can create a prompt to ask ChatGPT to list 10 companies or 5 companies out there that have goals similar to your goals. And once that list is returned, then you can also ask ChatGPT to also looking at your resume to match your skill set to the corporate roles at those companies. With that information in hand, you can update your resume, update your LinkedIn profile, and create your cover letter. Start networking on LinkedIn. Connect to people who are at those companies. Set up information and interviews with them just to kind of talk about a day in the life, connect with them, kind of build your network. And so if something came up in the company, at least they'll have you in mind because mostly companies give a referral fee to their employees and stuff like that. So that's a great opportunity that you don't want to miss out on. And then stay connected with the people who you have made your accountability partners. You can also work with a career coach like myself to make sure that you are still in alignment with your set goals and your aspirations. But you also need to create a framework, an anchor that will help you to push through and to be resilient. So, what I'm talking about, you have to protect your dreams and protect your plans. And basically, this means creating some sort of a daily cadence for meditation, visualization, and affirmations so that it will help you to reframe things when the going gets tough and things are crazy, because we all have to go through that. But then you will always come out on the other side if you just stick to the plan and keep going. So, yeah, those are some of the tips that we have for you today in terms of a career strategy and also in how to use ChatGPT or any of the GPTs to help you accelerate that plan. So I hope this was helpful
Outstanding.
and
Outstanding,
fruitful.
outstanding. And while you were, thank you so much, Coach Agnes. While you were doing that, I was listening attentively. And of course, the more you use these tools, the more you get comfortable with the flow. I just kind of listened to what you were saying, and I did exactly my workflow. So I gave it a role. I said, "You're an expert career coach, and you're tasked with helping me develop the following.
Hmm.
Number one, a value map. Number two, short and long term goals, VP of customer service, director of customer service. And then number three, um, find a mentor. Number
Hmm.
four, find a sponsor.
Yep.
Number 5, create a schedule to meet with mentor and sponsor.
Yep.
Remember to make these things measurable and compound. SMART
Yep.
goals. Lead me through an iterative process and provide the output in tabular format. Now, this is one piece that I add. You can tell it what format that you want. And so at the last piece or the last step that you want to add is tell it what format. If you want to see it in a table, tell it you want it in a tabular format. If you want to see it in a spreadsheet, tell it you want it in an Excel file or a .csv file, but tell it what you want. And then finally, after leading me through that iterative process, finally list 10 companies with roles or positions that match my goals. And so if I hit that, I had the option. I could have done deep research, but for the sake of time, I just put in that prompt. This is a nested prompt. It updated to save the memory. That's a new feature. And then so step 1, a value map. And so this is an iterative process. Let's begin by identifying core values, skills, strengths, and differentiators that define you professionally. I'll draft an initial map below. 1, you got your core values, you got your strengths, keys, and skills. It asked, would you like to tweak any of these? And so you can take this, you break it down into this iterative process, and you can do exactly what Agnes has shared with us today, and that is aligning your strengths, your weaknesses, your core values, everything that makes you unique, everything that makes you something or someone who is marketable. If you leverage AI, take a minute to learn just a few things, I promise you, you'll be able to step your game up. Hey, that's it for our episode. We are so glad that you joined us. And we look forward to breaking down some of the latest AI trends, some of the latest AI use cases, and how to use these tools so that we can level your game up and help you to win.